It's time for our final matchup of the day, Wolves versus MNM, which was a best of 5 that happened about 2 weeks ago. And if that would have been a best of 1 situation, Wolves would have taken that. But it was a best of 5. Wolves dropped 2-0. MNM reverse sweep them, which doesn't really happen that often in the history of Siege, and MNM do come out victorious. Will Wolves be able to get their revenge? That is what we're looking to see today, though. But for Wolves, their stage 1 did not go as expected. They made the LCQ run, got pretty far into the major. What are their appropriate expectations for this stage?
Kind of strange, because you look at the timelines, if you look at just purely the closed league of stage 1, they were seeded as like the 9th or 10th team or something. But in reality, they went on a dream LCQ run, they played well at the major, arguably maybe even could have hit main stage, just about didn't make main stage, and are coming into this, from what we've heard from teams that have practiced against them, very hot in terms of coming into stage 2. There's a lot of expectation amongst the, the professional community is that Wolves will do well into stage 2 and then beyond going majors and SI.
I mean, if we look at the SI that we just played a few months ago, when we went up against them and beat them, and then when they went out of the tournament, if we had not played them in the time that we did, I think, and our entire team back then said that Wolves was our hardest opponent at SI.
Wow.
And that says quite a lot if the champion that, honestly, we dominated that tournament, if we say that they were the second best team, they probably should have made it a lot further. So they're a team that's very much on the top, and it's an extremely explosive team. They have these, especially when all 5 players show up for the day, they are incredibly dangerous. But they've had a little bit of a tendency relying on Mowgli, and now a little bit more on Deadshot as well, to show up. And if we see all 5 players playing well, anything can go, but we need to have all of them show up.
Okay, for sure. We talked yesterday about MNM potentially being one of the best teams in the world, and maybe Europe, but the best team in the world. And then even though they won yesterday, even Eden himself acknowledged, like, hey, there's a few things that we need to fix. That's a good thing to have, right? I
mean, yeah, they know the mistakes that they're doing. At least the staff does.
Yep.
I really hope that the players are also listening to these mistakes, because me and Fresh will stand here and say exactly the same thing about maybe you guys need to calm down when you have the manpower advantages. Maybe you guys don't always have to push on your lonesome. Maybe you need the 3, 2, 1 countdown. There are so many small basic parts here that they can improve on, and if they do that, that's when they take the step from being they are a top 4, top 3 team in Europe. Sure. Now they take the step to top 3 in the world.
And I think that's the thing is, it's a nice position to be in. It's a nice problem to have, is that, if Europeans level's here and your level's here, but MNM's potential is all the way up here. We can see them going on to win tournament, but we just need them to improve that a little bit. They got away with it yesterday. I think the more they play into this group, the less they'll start getting away with some of the, the cracks that were papered over because they was against a weaker opponent yesterday. So they do need to improve their performance as well.
Yeah, and you said that MNM did some really good prep on their opponent regarding statistics as well.
Yes. So I liked this a lot, actually. So I looked back into the site order of rotation on Skyscraper, and MNM actually chose to start with the barbecue kitchen site, which I know that you certainly, Fabian, think it's the best site on Skyscraper. However, teams generally will start Karaoke Tea, then go to Office Exhibition, then barbecue kitchen. Now, the reason that MNM chose to do that, I believe, was in the analysis, was in the statistics, and was in the prep, because MNM have never lost that site in an official game, and Heroic had never won it, at least in recent history. So to go to that site, I just liked that from the coaching staff, just to say, hey, this will guarantee us at least the very first round, set us up nicely.
Yeah, I mean, it's really smart, and this is, I think it's the absolute best bomb site on the map. When I was with G2 and we look at Invitational and lead up to Invitational in our practice, then we had 100% win rate on that bomb site, and almost 30 rounds. I think we're shy of 2 or 3. So it's such a strong one. And the big thing with that bomb site is that you can just take steps back, and then you can even drop down the floor, which you can't do on either T or Office. But we're not talking about Skyscraper. What map are we talking about?
I mean, we'll yet to see. There's a few maps that both these teams played during that combined final, obviously. Would you expect one of those maps to be brought out today again, or would they go for a different map?
So sometimes map pools are completely opposites. If you looked at G2 and Heroic, it didn't really align that we were going to see the new map. With these two teams, it's kind of romantic that they're such fierce foes, because they play each other a lot, but they have the same top 3 preference of Chalet and 2 more maps, let me just check. Chalet, Oregon, and Cafe are the top 3 for both teams. So in my mind, we were only ever going to go to those maps because they're always going to leave those ones open. So the fact that we're going to Chalet is not really a surprise. I was expected to be one of those 3. In terms of Chalet, now inside of Tier 1, I know they've played each other in Tier 2 competitions. MNM have only ever lost Chalet once inside of Tier 1, and Wolves love that map. They've beaten W7M on it. So I feel like it's a very good 50-50 battleground for these two teams.
Yeah, I mean, you see, again, I go back to the constant information that we've gotten from the teams by saying Consulate is a heavy defender's map. If you're the one that choose the map, you just don't want to start attack Consulate so that you go into your really negative, especially when you have a map like Chalet Open that you just love it. Like, it's your favorite map. And both of these teams play this map incredibly well. I still have nightmares from Wolves just pushing in and rushing from all 5 windows at the same time. That just, it scares me. I have nightmares for that.
All right, the last time around, Chalet was an 8-6 for Wolves. That was the final map they won in that combined final.
Yeah.
Do you think it's once again a victorious map for Wolves?
Look, I'm going to back... I tend to take, tier 2, tier 3 competitions with a little bit of a pinch of salt. And I just... In my mind, there's no way any team I'm ever on, even if we like Chalet, I would take MNM too. So I'm going to stay with an MNM prediction.
You take a pinch of salt, I take a bathtub worth of it. Because I don't think that they care too much about showing the theory, but they do care about losing or winning. So they care more with their heart than they do with their head. And I just don't think that they took it fully serious. I'm going to lean Wolves. I believe in them. I want them to win. 7-0. No, okay. That's not going to happen. 7-5.
Okay,
Any
so
overtimes?
no overtime.
No overtime. There's never any overtime.
No more overtime for today, maybe. I mean, we'll see. It's our final game of the day. It is Chalet, it is MNM, it is Wolves, but it's also Fluke, and it is Hap.
It is. That's right. And here we
Wait,
are.
is it?
I think.
Yes, it is. Okay, now
Okay.
just make sure we never know.
Just making sure. And we ski ourselves into Chalet. Chalet, as people wrongly pronounce it sometimes. I am people.
Hello, people.
But only to annoy usually French speakers. And Milos once upon a time. But MNM versus Wolves here for our final game of the day. And, well, as you sort of highlighted at the end of the last game, Koi are the only team now in the other group without any points. BDS might be facing the same thing if Wolves are able to claim some points this game.
You wouldn't really expect that after, some of the performances during the off-season either way. It is Chalet, and yes, it was played during Central Combine. Yes, it was won by Wolves with an 8-6. It went to overtime. But now we're in Tier 1. There's a lot more on stake, a lot more on the line. It's a 6 invitation we're also talking about. So, MNM, they might just be bringing that one little thing they were hiding for the map, because they have been known to be masters of Chalet.
Quick bans, quick breakthrough, and yeah, massive Chalet. But there were times where we sort of cited that as the thing for MNM, as a thing against them. There are times where we've seen Wolves as one of those big Chalet teams struggle to get into it. It's neither team is unstoppable on this map. Both teams have a game. It might just turn into one of those old-fashioned who brings the game on the day.
Attackers need to locate and defeat.
It might be that. It might be just who shows up for the day. As it is definitely going to be a banger, I'm pretty sure. Now, the first map in the Combine was very, very one-sided to Wolves. Then the overtime, of course, happened. And after that, MNM just blew out Wolves. 7-1, 7-2, 7-2. See how much of the same energy we're going to be getting today. As starting off, first floor, kitchen dining, top floor control, usually very important. Especially if you want to go for a dining table plant, you need to make sure that you have the box opened up on that top floor to stop any verticality to prevent you from planting. So surely MNM is going to be focusing their attention towards that area of the map momentarily.
And it is also worth citing, obviously, I know you said the 3 maps that Wolves took were blowouts. It was a best of 5, and the first 2 went to Wolves, and one of them was Chalet. So Chalet was an 8-6 in the Combine Finals towards the side of Wolves. It went pretty much all the distance, which means there's going to be a very exciting return. Barely a fortnight past. Deadshot gets the opener. Solotov taken off the board. Now with the hop out, the cheeky movement, they're really sort of saying, look, we know what the brawl was last time, and here's round 2.
Last time it was quite defense-sided. Out of the 12 rounds, am I counting there out? 14 rounds, sorry. 12 rounds.
All right. It's been a
10
long
rounds were won.
It's been a long evening.
Can't count.
Listen.
Won by the defense. Got it in the end.
Sometimes
Got there.
counting is hard.
Counting is hard.
I fully understand. What might be a bit tricky is to try and pull back from this. Obviously, you've lost Solotov. You've lost your soft destruction for what is a site where you kind of need it across box. You've lost the grenade, so the Flores is going to have to do a bit of work here over the top and gets the shield. Yes. Just within the range as the wall falls on the site itself as well.
And with the breach as well, they have an opportunity to go for a plan. But first of all, they need to open up that box. Like I said, you open it up to really prevent them from having an opportunity to play it vertically, to stop your plans vertically. And considering there's some Wolves players upstairs, it's a big opportunity for them to actually go and try that. But uses, finds Deadshot. I believe that might have been through the double window out there, instantly drops back off. And that is just a free kill. Now P4 drops as well, and that means MNM, they've turned the balances here.
Yeah, suddenly 2 takes on the back end. They get their cams. They get these loose players that were trying to make motions underneath, and they still are vertical tentatively here. BB's got a bit of a grasp on it and is waiting for maybe some pressure and some calls to come across, because 45 seconds, you're really running out of a second attempt when your first still has to come through. Shinka's holding onto the back trophy window too and just keeping themselves a bit alive and a bit watched over. The smokes pop. Casters, nothing is behind it, whether they were trying to bait utility with that one and hope maybe a C4, maybe something flew over the top. There is nothing really like that outside of the single impact in the pockets of Wolves.
Now they're aware of Shinka's position. The bomb chassis is carefully being watched by Nello. He's just trying to go for a very tight shot, but he also knows he needs to go in for the plants, and that's exactly what he's going to be doing right now. But they have to Solace above, who's going to be calling out that the plant's happening right now, so they need to do something about it. But 45 seconds will be on the clock as they fail to deny it.
Well, they at least get the kill on the back, and with Nello in a very tricky situation here, Shinka's able to win out the fight, forces it against them. Now the player watching on the side is Tyrant, regardless of what the outline tells you. And they're making sure that no one gets across this divide at the site itself. They're going to have to double down for the swing. There's one, there's two! Tyrant held on with all that he could, and Bibu not on the top ropes with Nath keeping a keen eye. MNM, they open up on the back foot, but they close the round with a success.
Now, for a second there, because of the outlines, I thought there was a clash on the board because the other bomb chassis showed in blue as they were moving across on the double.
Where's
so where's the clash suddenly come from?
It's like Clash with theme music starts.
It just looks like, oh, there's a shield circle. It's like, oh no, it's a bomb chassis.
It's Clash with a steel chair. Yeah, there's a little bit of things with outlines at the minute. Hopefully it's sorted soon. I know it's been a question that's been asked. And you know the team's working on it where, as you can even see on those bomb chassis, bit of a
I wonder if we're going to see that in the replay.
We'll try our best to update just on who is an attacker and who is a defender, but here obviously Shinka wins that first fight, but that player on the shoulder, as we see, is Tyrant. They're able to just get the frost, and you know, it looked like Shinka swung into the fight there, whether they knew and it was just rotten timing of the frost going past, so they couldn't quite get the clear angle they wanted, whether that was to bait out the swing. Either way, Tyrant spray transfer is able to pick them up the kills. And yeah, MNM, they get the opening round.
On that, they want to build. Now, of course, we had a bit of a spawn peak, which basically put them down a member early on. Solotov dropped on the back of that. In other words, they were able to just find these angles and just isolate the Wolves players, and they turn around the balances towards their own favor. That is something you like to see from an attacking team, that even if they're a man down very early on, they still have good opportunity of bringing it back into their own hands. MNM is setting themselves up again. They know it's going to be the ground floor, or the basement rather, that they need to attack. And there's multiple ways about this. You could either go for a snow mode take, which of course Nello is out there. He's wanting to put down an extra thermic, but with the bandit putting down the bandit wires, you also know, well, that's not going to be an option right now. So you have to try and go for a different route. That could be out of trench. That could be going in from the garage, or maybe even you want to go from the top floor, start opening up like that. One thing's for certain, though, there's Wolves players out there that will be hunting you if you do.
Yeah, they're ready on the window, but it's Mowgli that gets knocked off first, and that's Solotov knocking right on the door's sight and sort of saying, hello, mates. Are you paying attention enough? Nath is able to start getting those walls cracked open. You can see Solotov wants to kind of swing with the cover. It's a big, perfect opener there with the Selmas. Gets them what is a perfect run route angle to go through. P4 tucks his way down onto blue. Bibu's still watching above the hatch as well, so when this gets open, they at least have some cover. The flashes go against it, accidentally self-flashes, and there is a bulletproof on the back wall, but now, do they know about Bibu? That might turn into the problem. He was a bit cautious. They're going for the cover of the smoke. They're going for this plant that we talked about with Wild before, and there's exactly what they showed at the start, but P4 gets the kill on Tonello. Solotov gets the trade back out. They're not quite able to get it with the same snappiness as before. Shinka's still behind the pillar, and Usus is trying to hold on to the fight, but MNM, they repick the diffuser, they recollect it, they're going for maybe a potential different plant. Nafe's going for the swing now instead, and oh, there's the little shoulder jiggle. There's Bibu dropping from the top and getting one kill. There's a couple back into the favor of MNM, and there is the end of the round. They went for that wild take, and if you want to get a cleaner idea of that take, watch the very start of the show. Fresh breaks it down brilliantly with the use of our flying through cam that Red Light helped them with. It's a very cool, fun take.
It is, and that way you don't really have to worry about the player that's on top of the hatch, because you just limit his view that much, and especially considering the wall was opened up, so the attention, of course, is going to be at that double wall. It's just a shame that the cover wasn't fully up to the standards there necessary to get that diffuser down on the ground. Otherwise, that round would have been just slightly different. Still probably would have gone to MNM there. Now we had that diffuse planted at that point. Headed towards the bar in gaming. Wolves continue to rotate, even though they haven't won any of the previous two sites yet. Now, not all is lost, because we've had 4 rounds win on the defense during the previous time these two met. That was during Combine. So, you know, Wolves will just have to go on and win every single defensive round right now to continue the way that that thing has been going. Just casually, you know, winning all 4 rounds. Of course, MNM will have something to say about that. Do not want to let that happen. They want to show they are the kings of Chalet. That was a one-off there.
Yeah.
At the off-season tournament that was out there. Still won it. So I don't think they care too much about losing Chalet.
Okay, dead shot. What have you dead got for us? Open up the first round with a little run out. And it's been a bit of a trade of blows and bodies, but you have Solotov popping off and you have Tyrant popping off. It's sometimes a bit of a risk. Now, yesterday on Skyscraper, and it's a very different handling map, the attacks of MNM weren't quite able to come to the same sort of amount of force as their defenses were getting them. There were huge gun swings on their defenses, and that sort of fizzled out. So here, starting off strong, is a bit of a different face.
Just waiting patiently. Roteros are coming in, are going to be clearing out Shinka, really. Or rather, forcing him off his position slightly, make him a bit uncomfortable. The Wolves for now still have full control of everything they need. There's some pings coming through, but there's nothing really they can do to try and get an answer for it. As I say, Mowgli gets dropped, though. Some trade coming out from P4, takes some damage as well. Another run out to be taken by Bibu as he gets shut down himself. A lot of aggression coming out right as the E1D fades. And MNM coming out on top with a man advantage.
Well, Deadshot's still holding on to the top of the rafters in the gantry. P4's holding on to Nafe. Gets the body balance back into their favor. Solotov suffers on the scrape as he goes for the fight against Deadshot. And now locked out, it's Tyrant just slipping in, but blinded by that smoke canister. And I'm not sure if Deadshot timed that perfectly or just got a little bit lucky there. Either way, it allows him to slip by without being seen here. Nello hasn't quite been able to get himself into the gun game of this game as of yet. And he's up against 3 players that have.
Oh, let it drive.
Yeah, no, if you start it and tuck it and
Yeah.
pull out, it'll roll. And he wanted that to be a bit of a bait there, so someone would try and maybe swing against him. He realizes no one's that close, and well, at least forces the Wamai to have to move a little.
He's using it as a bait indeed, and the second one just to relocate the player. Tyrant now finds himself quite close to the actual site, but is afraid someone might still be around in the basement. So Nello's quickly going to be checking with a Rotero drone, or rather sending it down there to spook any players out there. Finds one. Deadshot suddenly drops it. They know about one inside the pantry. It's just one single player unknown. Actually, P4 found now near Billiards. Tyrant knows his 2 targets, needs to find them one by one, pick these isolated fights, and as he goes, Crouch gets spotted out, cannot quite connect to Shinka, but we'll find the shot on P4. Gets taken down right after, though, by Shinka. Didn't crouch just in time, and that means Wolves, they have a round on the board now as well.
It's as close as you can sort of get it here, and this is what we wanted and expected from these two teams. It's, you know, trading rounds, turning into a bit of a blow here. They, as we said, went pretty much all the distance last time they were on this map. Oh, but like 2 weeks ago. And here, some responses, some changes in how aggressive they're being, still with jump out, some at the start, some at the middle of the round, some being punished, some not.
Locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
It was a very aggressive start. Like the E1D pops, it fades, and everybody suddenly just jumps out. But they got the round. Wolves in the end, even though they were on a man disadvantage out there, managed to hold them to the site. One person left unknown. They didn't know where P4 was, and was indeed in billiards. Manages to strike the one player trying to sneak through towards the pantry to find the isolated kill, which turned out to not be so isolated. So back towards the basement we go. Last time they opted to go for a Snowmo take first, or at least to open it up. At that point, the bandits showed up, started putting down some nice little bit of wires, meant that they couldn't quite open it up. But as there's no bandit on the board this time, and it's a completely different hold that we're seeing from Wolves, because we see mirror windows, means they're holding on to dining just a little bit more, and thus the verticality is going to be a little bit more tricky to take care of, especially that hatch that we saw before. MNM might have the opportunity to just open up the Snowmo wall and see what they can do from there on.
Now, with Wolves holding on to a little bit of a pause in the time and timeline, you can see the terror on Tyrant there. Expecting something from the small box jump out, but otherwise, with Mowgli pulling himself back in, as Snowmobile pops open, he's more than happy to watch. It's something that gets opened on the back end, and well, the jump out came from the opposite side, and as I said, we saw Tyrant concerned about that. As soon as he throws the drone, it happens just behind him.
Now these openings from the summons are very important, because Mowgli, of course, playing there as the warden, it's the opportunity to really stop any kind of plan to come through. Not that we're going to get a smoke execute, but if it would be the case, he would be in the right position to cancel it. Now they have an opportunity to actually put pressure down on him, and as soon as they do take out the person right behind a mirror window, land on Snowmo might actually be possible. And Nello has gone to the side and started opening that one up, as Deadshot does take care of Solotov. Not quite sure where that happened from. Hey, very close. If spots a lag, is going to be able to find a kill into Deadshot, so gets that trade in the bedroom.
Well, there's the pop onto the shield, able to remove that power position from being as powerful, but as Mowgli's in a position now to try and back him up, just pulls away from the fight. E4 holding and waiting, with users wanting to find this engagement first. If he's able to lock out this fight, then suddenly the balance falls slightly into their favor. It's Nello, just looks past the first engagement, gets the pick back up, but P4 was there. Nello just missed him on the swing round, and a bit tragic, but here's another chance at a pinch on the player. Pre-fires the stairs, P4 gets his third for a round. Nafe at least stops it. But now, needing to recollect the diffuser, they went for what was an attempt to sort of have a firefight where, okay, we know we'll be outmanned. If we have the fight on the site, we can maybe pull some of those players that are off. But just leaving the sole player. 20 seconds, Nafe. He's opening the hatch on the back end, just takes the drop, tucks right into a bulletproof camera that's watching him. Swung from both sides and unfortunately can't quite get out. Wolves pull themselves back level.
He had to make a play there when after his teammates died. No 1v3, the bulletproof saw him. It's just going to be very difficult at that point. You go for one player, the other one will strike you in the back. Same goes the other way around. And that's 2-2. As I said before, 4 rounds, won by the defense. So Wolves just has to go on and win all 4. They're halfway there. Still going to be very, very possible. Dining kitchen up next. Saw this be opened up on both vertical and horizontal level. Plant was able to be stuck, and the cover was on point as well. Not realizing there was still a player out in the hallway right next to the B-bomb chassis. To change that around this time, Wolves need to be a bit more diligent on making sure that that plant doesn't go down, because as soon as it does, it's just going to be a completely different game they have to play. Also, I have to say the Fenrir use so far from Wolves has been on point.
Oh, great.
They've been using the operator well, which might be iconic considering, Wolves. It's an operator mate for them. It kind of has to be part of their MO right now. There's no more changing that.
That's true. I mean, if a marshmallow operator comes out,
Yeah, like MNM cannot run it. Like they need to run it because if they don't, imagine the disappointment in the fans.
people would be fuming. 2 apiece. And, as a sort of end of the game, obviously, the last time we had a matchup in this group earlier on today, it turned into a very long-winded fight of a fight. This one seems like it might be generally going the same way. Anyone going to be able to get themselves that one step ahead on the break? Yeah, mess that car up.
Hit it real good with that sledgehammer.
Yeah, real good. He was going to go for the floor, but then they decided to not go for the floor mid-swing. Is why that occurs. Bibu. On the top floor, the Solus getting some reconnaissance. We've obviously seen them banned a couple of times throughout today. They're great on Chalet. You think of all the ways you can sort of hide drones, hide these catches on intel, and look, Bibu's like, nope, I know you're coming.
Tyrant ready and waiting, opening up with a breaching charge. There is a player on the other side of that, though. Deadshot holding tight. Look at that. Frostmat right underneath. Looking to catch him off, hoping to bait him into a gunfight. Tyrant, do you know about that Frostmat? Because otherwise, well, that's going to be a guaranteed kill coming through. P4 taking some damage. Deadshot, he went for the actual aggressive push out there, and MNM suddenly they find themselves with a 2-man advantage if it wasn't for Shinka replying with a C4 instantly.
Yeah, C4 out of the hatch, out of the window, and out of the player. So they do a big loop round. They still have some vertical control. They still obviously got themselves in that core central position that Bibu's been occupying. As I said, he's been able to remove those drones in the full read onto what's coming his way, and Nave's trying to find the back end of that with Mowgli offering some support. Tucked round, there's pings roughly towards where they think the player is. That grenade will bounce down just a bit short, but that sure doesn't. Tyrant with the spray through, and then Mowgli with the spray right back. As I said, they had the awareness on the player, but still, they're on the back foot. They have to try and convert one of these window players into their favor. Nafe, he's on a sliver of health, and oh, the look away at almost the worst possible time. Mowgli took the dive and couldn't quite get the lockout. Nafe survives. Leaves just Shinka alone. Had a C4 connection earlier on in this round. 30 seconds for him to try and isolate one of these first engagements. There it is. And with 2 opponents still stood above him, MNM, can you try and get yourself closed down with a little bit of wiggle room for an error?
Out of a rough position where he is. Flashbangs are coming in, and that means they need to reply. He's fully white by the flashbang. Nave gets the first couple of shots down. He cannot quite connect for the second time around either. Nello goes down with a shotgun. 9 seconds left on the clock. He gets the second one as well. Shinka clutches it out in a 1v3. And Wolves get another round. They might not have, should have gotten there. MNM, they were leading that for the majority of it.
Oh, that is just sort of the turn of fate of Siege. We saw that sort of similar firefight happen to Nafe on the second story where, Mowgli swings one way, Nafe's already gone back, scuffs a couple of shots, and Nafe on a sliver of health can win it out. And then there, it's a regrettable moment, really. It was full white, you're not to know. He couldn't quite get the connection around the door, and Shinka pops the shotgun. They are obviously in a pretty good situation right now, but still, rough round to swallow there for MNM.
I mean, you got 2 opportunities there and a fully blinded player. You miss both of them, and then he just taps you both with his shotgun. And that hurts. Like, that was your round. It was your round. It was MNM's round. Unable to convert it in the end. And with that, Wolves, well, they'll be happy with that one as they continue finding these rounds later on in this first half. For a quick rehost due to a technical, back very shortly. But again, that must be so frustrating if you're on the other end of that. Like, the flashbangs go off, you know where he was, and just missing the shots twice, slipping away from your grasp. And the shotgun buff definitely doesn't help. Well, it helped Wolves, but not MNM.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess we hope we get back into this one as soon as we can. Obviously, 3 rounds in a row late at night. I mean, you're an hour ahead of me.
It's only 10 p.m. It's not late. It's still quite early on. I remember our Europe days when we were done at like 1 a.m.
Classic.
Classic days.
You're right. I should stop complaining. There is a little bit of a heat wave, though. I'm allowed to do a little bit of complaining.
Yeah, that's true. It's quite hot, and I have to turn on the AC in between the games, otherwise everybody feels like a little buzz.
I have to open a window because I live in a country that doesn't have AC. Generically,
I have a mobile AC as well, so it's like open a window, put out the little tube. But now all kinds of bugs start flying in, and they keep landing on my screen whilst they're playing. So
yeah, they're
Wolves versus
excited
MNM
by the
versus
Rainbow
bugs.
Six Siege.
Yeah, it's like I'm casting with live viewers out here.
They'll love to see the siege. They love the siege.
Not as loud as our crowds usually are, which is a shame.
Yeah.
But okay, 5 rounds we've had so far. MNM started it off strong, but was able to get it back in right afterwards. Some slight oversights in information for MNM in one of the rounds. Flashbang incident we just had.
Is that the official titling?
I think that's what we're going to call it, or Flashbang Gate. Okay. I don't know. It's like we need to find.
That's a bit too long.
It's a bit too much. Okay.
A bit.
Flashback incident has a ring to it.
I mean, it sounds more official, I think.
Yeah. Wikipedia editors, let it be known that today will be marked as the flashback incident. I want it marked. I want it stamped. And a year from now, I want to receive a
underlined,
remembering moment there. Like today, a year ago, was a flashback incident between MNM and Wolves.
Hey, we are back in, and we're going back to the site where the sort of fortunes of Wolves shifted from losing the first 2 rounds to winning the next 3, but can they double down here to give themselves a really good boon? Obviously, as you sort of cited and we said earlier, last time these 2 teams hit themselves against each other on this map was recently, and it was 4-2 either half for the defense. So another 4-2, and you're sort of like, okay, here we go again. But at the same time, if MNM can make a break from that, if suddenly that they can get themselves, maybe on this even half, then it's, oh, well, maybe we've got a different story. Maybe we've got a different game ahead of us here. But what change will have to come through here? As you said, the Fenrir gadget has been used very, very well by Wolves at this point. The continued use of Solace as well. As I said, I just love Solace on this map. You can close down so much otherwise previously tricky to get a hold of information.
Yeah, for sure. Again, lots of spots to hide your drones at, as well as there goes a default cam. We've seen that going wrong earlier today in a different matchup. So, good on them for taking it out early. But lots of spots to hide your drones in, and you can get so much information, so much useful information out of that one. As their first RC terror comes in, it's just going to destroy any piece of information and utility on the other side of that window. Again, the Fenrir, shot, just waiting underneath that window. We'll find Tyron as he opens it up. Was waiting patiently, just tight enough where he wouldn't be shot. I mean, it's just a free kill.
It's a gamble, though. It's a free kill, but it just takes one stray bullet. That's something they're shooting at for the sort of risk and reward of, well, I can get them where they have no idea. And, now they're trying to get some revenge. Mowgli gets caught out, wanting to rotate his way a bit closer back via the top of the vines. But it turns into a sort of stalemate, and still nobody wants to hand the next body over because it's either going to balance things out or maybe end the round itself. A bit early on, Usus, slow creep round, wants the revenge fight here, is watching towards one angle. Solotov does get dead shot, and there's Mowgli with Solotov right back. Body balance stays in Wolves' favor.
Mowgli low on HP, but still kicking around and fighting. So we have P4 going down through the basement. Some opportunity to pop it wherever he's needed. As Usus covers off his legit rotate, Nello will find Mowgli eventually, and that means it's now a 3-on-3. Body balance back equal. Attackers still need to find themselves a way towards the site, and Well, there's still Wolves players out and about. Bibu on the top floor. It's going to be waiting for as long as he possibly can to go in for a flank as soon as the plan does come down. He will have those hedges to play with at that point. And as he doesn't get droned out, well, he can just stay there for as long as he wants to.
See, they're getting steady intel as well. Bibu's playing against the box. The default camera's still up in the corner of the room, and anyone that might try and lead their way across. Now, as they finally got rid of it, Bibu has to be a little bit more tuned into this. The approach is Nave drops underneath. Sees users. That's a mate. Don't have to worry about that. What you do have to worry about is P4.
Gonna be able to sneak up on him though. He just runs back up on blue. Gats quickly caught by the fear. There's 10 seconds left. They need to go for a push now. Bibu over the top is going to be spotting out that there's nobody left out there. Nello will find Shinka before he gets traded back out. The diffuser might be dropped at that point. 3 seconds left. There's only one player left on Wolves. Bibu will find a single kill. And the time will run out. Wolves will win another round. And we're looking at each other, not being able to shut each other down.
I mean, it couldn't have been closer there. They saw each other just as they called time on the round, and I mean, skin of your teeth, really. That couldn't have been physically closer. The 1 versus 1 MNM, again, they're going to be beating themselves up about that round just before that things went away from them. It's a 4-2 split. Again, it's not the worst in the world. It's not the most uncommon, but also with how close these rounds are shaping themselves up to be.
I mean, those last 2 rounds are really going to be hurting, right? Like, especially the, not the last round, but the one before that. That should have been theirs. And then this one just slipping away from the one player you didn't know was up top. Dropping down the hatch, finding one, and the time running out before you can reply to him. That's definitely going to be hurting as MNM out there in Wolves. Well, they're building some nice momentum here. Having 4 in a row now, will be headed over towards the attack themselves. Again, you mentioned it. If they manage to pick up the full 3 points here today, BDS is just left, like, all the way at the bottom of that group with 0 points, having everybody else around them with points on the board.
If Wolves get themselves off to a strong start here, you can imagine things are going to get a little bit shaky in the camp of MNM. The quick break onto this wall, as I said, it's sort of the standard, sort of the way you always approach, whether you go for the plant here or not, but Deadshot gets Nafe on the back of it. P4 suddenly gets users as well, and where Deadshot's been able to dig their way all the way across.
Just took the side.
They're going for the plant. They took the site in. Sorry, the outlines were a bit confusing there because all of them were in blue, but the defenders are elsewhere. They're going for the plant. Tyrant's about to find a fight against somebody who is definitely not a defender. I'll say that. And now, look, the spray over the back. Solotov gets 1, gets 2. There's 1 more to his shoulder he's not aware of. Wolves screamed their way in. They know where the kid is, but they can't quite get their way through to it. Nello, he wants to root against it, and well, as the swing comes round on the back end, it's a 1 versus 2 situation. Tyrant has a fight immediately on his right-hand side. He cannot win it out in Wolves.
Skeleton key as well.
I mean, quick work of that round.
They spotted an opportunity. No one in the side, or only 2 people. They start opening up the main breach. Everybody starts panicking towards that, and what happens? Everybody just walks in from the back, uncontested, picking up those kills, and instantly the entire site with it.
I mean, it was that combination. Like, rushes are hard to spot. Rushes where the attackers have the outlines of the defenders.
Yeah,
that's a bit harder.
Seeing them in the ground, but it's like because of the names, not because of the outlines.
Yeah, because I was like, Deadshot's got this kill, but I see blue outlines in the core of the site, so that's not them. And then it goes to them as like, oh, they're in blue. They're in a...
Oh, they're in the site.
Oh, apologies to the audience, but we got there as soon as we cut to it, and we're doing our best. 5-2, the timeout comes through. Wolves, 1 round away from securing themselves a point. 1 round away from securing every team in this group a point apart from BDS.
My. Wolves. Let's see what else they have here. Headed towards Foreign Gaming. Pretty default site. Double Frostman on the little mudroom there. See if that one catch someone off guard. Usually it gets droned out before people jump in there, but never know. It's definitely going to be difficult to get rid of, though, as it's going to be 2 of them now, rather than just 1. But MNM, what do you have here? It's going to be the classic hold, shield up top with the blue stairs. Just to hold out on anything that is coming from the northeast. Enforcement's around as well. Probably someone that will be playing around the big pillar. Someone that's inside of the library. 3 players up top. 4 potentially is Nath still out there as well. And just look at it currently, there's nobody on the site. Oh, just now someone dropped in, but it's just Mellow on the site now.
So, 5-2, the tack time out, and how's the change going to be something that maybe impacts what was otherwise just a blind fire through? P4 with the quick go, and here we go. We watch the start of this. Shinka's right behind them. They're going to go right to the door itself. They want to make sure they keep the momentum from before. The fight is an important one. The bees swing round. Nello takes a lot of damage. He's probably screaming out for help, but it's Nathan Solotov. They're able to get 2 kills on the cover. P4, if he can win out the next fight and suddenly get some favor, then they might keep the hope alive of the quick drive. Shinka gonna just get the call for some support. It's turned into a little bit of a stalemate. I mean, MNM has the awareness there on the site. They have the awareness. MNM knows. It's just gonna be who's got the first vision.
That's definitely going to help that little drone, able to find a bit of information. P4 with a grenade will find users as well. Now, as they try and come around, P4 takes a lot of damage, eventually does get taken down. A second kill comes through as Solotov just sweeps up onto the side, and now it's only up to B with a diffuser dropped cold in the side, and 90 seconds left for him to play with here. He's looking to jump into the mudroom. Drone gets tossed out just for information's sake. Still a player inside of the library above the hatch tyrant. They're aware of him? No, they're not. He cleans it up. MNM, they were able to find a round after, well, basically 5 in a row from Wolves.
I mean, that's entirely... It's not basically. It is 5 in a round. From 5 in a row from Wolves. They really took a hold of this game. They obviously still have their chance at a team talk. They bit back to put some balance in. I said it might turn into a brawl, and then it got a little bit worrisomely one-sided there. A second rush, it had some success, but not as much as obviously the round before, because MNM held off. They kept a bit of control, and they didn't quite have anyone directly still in sight. Obviously, they lost the back of it, and they lost the bar, but the fact that they had the vertical, the fact that they had enough to stop them having the confidence to go for a plant, the important part.
Alrighty. MNM, you're still lacking slightly, but as we mentioned, 4-2 splits was the story of the combined finals. Doable. Still, yes. I mean, MNM won 2 in a row, and then Wolves was able to find 5 rounds afterwards. Might be the return. If MNM can keep up that little bit of pace they had the last time around, the amount of trades we saw was good to have as well, because they've been lacking those kind of trades over various games. So whenever you see them instantly trade out those kills, you know something is going right on MNM's side.
MNM get something back, and Wolves are just throwing everything at the back staircase here. They want to see if they can try and force out the player. There was obviously a lot of ADSs, and that grenade should remove the back end of them. So then this follow-up doesn't remove the player. 1 surviving ADS, and all that utility has been a little bit for nothing at this point. That's 2 frag grenades, 3 flashes. No kill on the back of it other than 2 pieces of utility.
Very painful there. You really want to be removing that player if you use so much utility. Not that it's the end of the world, but it's definitely going to be making your take a little bit harder in the end. Now, Wolves are going to opt for a different kind of approach. Just going for different kinds of areas, putting down those claymores, getting in those calls right now. They might need to take a gunfight or two rather than using utility to dislocate players. Snave just waiting patiently on that staircase. He knows he might be receiving some pressure. Sometimes he grabs a C4 just to let them know, like, hey, I'm still here. I have this big explosive package I'll be throwing at you. Try and get me. And Tyrant exactly does that as Mowgli comes around the corner.
You can see he's just angling for the fight and angles himself perfectly teed against it. BB's going to make his way over the top here. Shinka's obviously potentially going to swing round. It's a very long angle fight nowadays, all the way through towards the back end of Piano from the openings that they have, but BB's going to offer some semblance of swing support, so they're not just taking this from one angle and handing in another individual engagement. Tyrant is playing very brave. They're not going to double down as of yet. There's a bit of cover and support as Solotov does find P4, but Bibu does end the run and the rampage of Tyrant a little. Gets him through the soft. Solotov dropped from a well-practiced idea of where that player might be right now. And now they've been able to at least wrest some control here of above the site, but still with a man disadvantage. How do you break your way down? Because there's only 30 seconds, and now there's even one less here.
Only up to Shinka now, because he carries the diffuser, but he's not going to be able to find much. I think 25, still counting, needs to find and isolate these fights, but the issue is he's all alone, so as long as he's going to be facing them on their terms, well, he is going to be taken care of with those crossfires. 10 seconds. Pushing down. It's going to be walking right into the crossfires of the MNM side of things. Users will shut him down, and that means we're getting MNM back in the game as well again.
Okay, MNM, the tact timeout has worked a little bit of wonders. You're only one round shy of the balance you're at before, and as we said once upon a time, this was a sort of, 4 defenses a half map from these two teams very recently. It's got great play for both these two teams, and it is really turning into, once again, another deadlock game. We're getting a little bit of a habit of these today.
Sometimes you have a quick day, sometimes you have the, every game can go to overtime kind of game.
Yeah.
Not every game has gone to overtime.
I guess this is the balance. We had a very quick day yesterday.
As balanced as all things should be.
Yeah, we had no overtime yesterday, and obviously a 7-0. And now we get a 8-6, 8-7. This angling towards overtime, and
Yeah, 7-5. Yeah. Well,
I had to flip through my notes.
all rules, they can still change that. Good shot there from Deadshot. Really being accurate there, finding Solotov. Not quite sure if they had information or if that was just, being prepared for these kind of spawn peaks or anything like that, but that's definitely removing a big player of the equation there for MNM.
It could be either, really. I mean, it's one of those windows, it's one of those positions where a lot of people will check it, even outside of pro play, and yeah, the game handles very differently, but at the same time, the stuff that gets ingrained into you is something you'll always just sort of be a bit aware of. Puts them on a bit of a back foot here, MNM. I mean, at this opportunity, you got to sort of take risks, spend money to make money. And Tyrant isn't going to take the risk there, though. Caught out by a little bit of a drone. Swings onto the... Ooh, almost swings onto the side of a player there, I was going to say, but otherwise pull back.
For jumping in right after him. Has that been heard by Nello, though? That's a big question. Polos with the SMG. Ready to fire, but he's just holding off an angle for now. Drone rolling through. They should know where Nello is, or have they misdroned? I thought I saw the lights go on that drone, but Nello's still waiting patiently. The drone drives away. They might be under the impression it's going to be clear, and as Nello moves, gets a little bit of a pre-fire into P4, but doesn't quite do enough damage to him to put him out. Phone call definitely removed him from the corner he was playing in, though.
Yeah, the calls are coming through. There's more of a spray. The C4 over the top doesn't quite get fully locked in. He's trying to find a fight and does get a kill out of it. He really probably shouldn't have. So he'll be very happy with that. The time that he wasted and the body that he wasted too. Mowgli, gone. Nath wanted to offer some support. Unfortunately, a little bit too late. But with Tyrant getting caught out on the top floor, that is the tragedy. With the site being all the way on the bottom, maybe just expected nobody to still be watching Piano, but the drone game of Wolves was pretty encompassing. Now, I mean, the prep C4 on that wall. Is that going to drop down to the site with 45 seconds?
There's no reason for Wolves to take a full control of the rest of the map here. And as the Bugies are going up above, it is Bibu that fails to actually get the kill. Nave goes quite low. Uses is going to be able to not, well, get the kill either, actually. Is Nave now in a 1v3 situation? 30 seconds left on the clock. Can he clutch it, or will Wolves go to match point?
Sees the first swing on a fight, is able to slip his way to some semblance of an escape, and there it is. The kit, I assume he's in the pockets of Shinka, who's tucked himself behind the lockers at the bottom of the staircase. It's a very tricky situation because you've got to go super wide to get the angle on it, and well, there's one, there's almost two, but they just slink away out of shot. They're not sticking around, and Nave's probably not going to stick that. They're trying to find the angle in the fight. The drop comes through. Wolves, they push themselves to map point.
For a second there, I was afraid they were actually going to stick it, and Wolves were just willing to wait it out. But they managed to reply just in time. And again, taking all the skills on the top floor, then deciding to just go for the site. There was no need to clear the rest of the map because, well, you just need to get that plan down. It's all they needed at that point. And either there's two people on the side and you're facing that as a team, or there's one person that you have to take out. Successfully done so. 4-6. 2 opportunities to close out this game and find 3 points. And again, we're going to be reiterating this. These stages are so much more important than they would have been last year. Not that last year's stages weren't important, but there's just so much more on the line now. 5 best of ones, or 4 best of ones rather. After that, you need to be in the top 3 if you want to have a shot at the major. If you're below that, it's bad luck, you're out. You got to go through open qualifiers, and that means you're going to be lacking on SI points. And with there only being 2 stages now, you're lacking on a major, you're lacking on SI points, well, that means you're not going to SI.
5 seconds left before insertion.
2 rounds here. MNM, 2 chances. Pull yourself in. Wolves have guaranteed themselves a point, and I know I made a couple of references to it, but now BDS, much like Koi, are looking at the prospect of being the only 2 teams across the 2 groups that do not have any. That gives them a few days until next week to think of how they're going to respond. It's got to be loud. Wolves, will they be able to cement 3 and keep this group sort of changing hands, push themselves, leapfrog past Heroic?
Drops are coming through from users as the pressure arises a little bit onto the library. Wolves with a double repel out here from that window. Really making sure that as soon as Tyrant steps out to take a fight, that they are ready for him. Or Solotov for that matter. Just holding tight. 2 of them. Meantime, also some pressure coming down onto the library. Some pings coming through from the E1D scans as well. Should be aware of the fact that the library itself is going to be clear. It's just that everything around is currently occupied by MNM, and thus dangerous to threat through.
Deadshot's been able to wriggle his way around here onto the bout, but with the soft wall on the other side of box, it becomes a bit dangerous to hope, unless you have the control of Piano, which we know has had shots peppered through it from the opposite end. You assume they are in the same level of no. They've still got Tyrant in a tricky position. Solotov and Nafe are only an arm's reach away. They're going to go for something a bit quick as a break here and try and force just an angle against users. The smoke comes out, the canister goes across, Mowgli makes a move, a deep dive all the way. Tyrant suffers quite a big bit of damage but gets out of there. No one's been able to be dropped from the engagement, but they've at least taken some of the territory. Solotov wants this fight. Does he know that there's somebody just around the corner knocking on the door of the IV? They're still not quite able to get the full taste, but they've wrested some control. MNM can loop themselves back round underneath, though. As long as they're still standing, they're a problem.
The thing is, Wolves have a slight bit of top floor control now, and as long as they know that there's 1 or 2 players inside of the bedroom area, well, that's not really a problem. You just hold that. You make sure that they're not going to be an issue, and the rest of you can start putting pressure down onto the actual side itself. And Nave thus is going for a rotate. Mowgli gets caught off. Shinka drops into the side as he finds one. The smoke canister will help him out there. Digs deep, finds a second onto the side, and now there's an opportunity to go for a plant. With 30 seconds left on the clock, Solotov drops as well, and Wolves find themselves on a 4v2 in a match point.
Well, that is all Wolves players on the site itself, regardless of what the outlines tell you. And Tyrant's going to see if he can try and retake it on the back end. Cannot see the fight over the top. It's all down to Nafe. He takes a lot of damage to get himself here, but they're in every corner, and Wolves take the clear 3 points this time. No OT on this showing on Chalet, and a little bit of revenge from what happened not too long ago in the finals of Combine. But the only combination to the key here is everything is in Wolves' pockets.
Exactly. MNM, they might have won Combine, but Wolves are the ones taking the 3 points here today inside of the Europe League. Again, mentioning only 4 games you get to play. This was their first. They instantly started off with a victory. Now they need to carry that through for the rest of these play days.
And Shinka giving some words of encouragement
to Mowgli,
his teammate there, and just helping him get himself into the game. But it is a 5-a-side game, and we are technically a 5-a-side team, so us two will take our break and hand it over to the other 3 in the studio after a quick break.
Blast R6 Major in Copenhagen. Are we ready, Copenhagen? 24 teams from all around the world made the trip here to Denmark.
Okamesh is straight on inside. He finds one, looking for a second. Okamesh is just eating him up for lunch. Gomez, as he plays behind one of the remaining Kiva barricades, to be a big nitro here, and it's massive. Trying to get ahead of it. Spots it moving down the stairs, and there it goes for VP. The free go for VP. Everything falls to Sploit down in the 1v2 here. They're both focused on him. No matter.
We are now down to our Elite 8.
Surely not resets. He's making the 1v4 look so winnable. There's no way. Resets to ace to 1v4. Esk is trapped in a corner.
Vanessa can collect one, a second, a third.
Oh, he's just insane.
Something feels a little bit different today. It's Championship Sunday! 24 teams made the trip, 2 remain.
The defense, there comes 1 kill and 2.
It looks like there's one left standing. It's Vods against his old team. It could not be any more bittersweet.
Are they going to be able to close this out here and now?
History repeats itself. Wolves again victorious over MNM on Chalet, just like how it happened 2 weeks ago. Yet this time they didn't need an overtime. But for Wolves on their own defense when they started out, they got away with murder sometimes.
I mean, just the overall the way Wolves played, I think that MNM is going to have the same nightmares as I do. Wolves are just so heavy talented in just shooting. And if you look at the way that they played this map, I think that MNM started out with control of how to play the map. MNM did really good 2 first attacks, and then they kind of slowed down a little bit. And when they lose that 1-on-3, it feels like the entire momentum just goes against them, and Wolves take over, and they take over, and they take over. And Wolves just keeps that up through the defenses. They win all the defenses after that, and then they go into attack, and you see how fast, like they're literally on the bomb site within 30 seconds the first round. And then when they go up into bar, they rush up the stairs from basement, and they're in bomb site again within the first 30 seconds. Wolves really know what they're doing. The explosiveness I mentioned before the match, they did that too.
All right, let's see what Wolves himself have to say, because we do have them on the line for a bit of an interview. I believe we have Bibu joining us here. Good evening. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good with a win, our first win on these two stages, so I guess we are happy with that.
I mean, yeah, you didn't play yesterday. Was that, in your opinion, a good thing so you could see what other teams are doing, or would you want to play yesterday?
I mean, doesn't really matter. You have a day off. I think it's the best is to have like maybe one day off at the beginning or at the end. Like this, you can, still be in the flow, not have like a cut in the middle. But sometimes it could be good if you have a bad two first games and you have a break. So both are okay. For me, I prefer to have like at the beginning and after just have the flow up every time and just play every day.
I mean, now that you won, it's a good way to continue your momentum,
yeah.
Right? But you played the Central Combined Finals and the Central Combined during the summer break. With that, do you feel like you had some time to relax though in the summer break at all?
Yeah, we took some time after the major, and after I think we took around 3 weeks, 1 month, and after we just go back to full grind. We had a lot of things to work on, to improve, to fix, and we also have the combine. So we were there to play to win it. Every tournament we play, we are playing. We are there for win. So yeah, no, we had a break at the beginning, and now we are just on the continuing flow with the grind and everything. I think it's working well for us.
All right, that sounds really good. You won Chalet during the combined finals as well. That was in overtime. This time it was in regulation. Did you change anything about your Chalet, or was it pretty much the same as last time?
We didn't really change our game specifically, but I know that our staff and P4 did a lot of preparation, and I think you saw it on certain rounds. And yeah, it worked well for us. We know how they are playing. I think we are playing MNM every time is possible. I think we are the best friend to play against. So yeah, we knew how they will play. So we just take the focus, keep in mind that how they are playing, how we need to counter them, and after that everything is rolling up. Like we were good. We had Shinka and that shot was just on fire today, and yeah, everything is good for us. So we took the win.
All right, for sure. And this group that you're in, we shouldn't beat around the bush. It's a very difficult one. Who do you think is your biggest enemy in this group, or the strongest opponent that you still have to face?
I would say on the side of maybe MNM, because we are playing them, like I said, a lot. So sometimes it's hard, it's like a mindset game, like you need to brain every time, like to change a bit, not too much, but a bit, to still have your habits and stuff like that. But after all, there is still a lot of great teams. I mean, G2 got their 2 wins, and even then after they have like some comebacks against them, they always manage to take the win, so it's impressive. BDS, they only play once, but they almost made the comeback too. So, and Eric, I mean, they are new. They still need to have some time, I guess, but maybe the time they will need, it will be against us, and they will be very strong. So never underestimate anyone. I know that it's a tough group, but we're just here to prepare our game, play as the best we can, and take the wins every time.
I think that was a very good summary of the group that you're in. I think it's time for you to join the analyst desk with us.
Maybe, but I know that Fresh and Fabian are doing so much great job, so I can't feel it.
Probably very happy to hear that. Is there anything you want to say to the Wolves fans as well?
I just have a fun fact. It's the first EUL game that we win with Deadshot, because the first stage we didn't win anyone. So you can take that, and after that, just thanks to the fans and to the org Wolves who are supporting us every time, every day. And yeah, thanks to you to the interview. Welcome on the host for you, Fastan, and welcome back, Fabian. And yeah, just enjoying every game and every play day.
That's really good to hear. Thank you so much for your time, for the kind words as well. We hope you have a great evening, and we hope to speak to you again very soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. That was a nice interview with some nice words for you as well.
Well, it was a welcome for Fabian.
Yeah.
Welcome to you.
Yeah, nobody cares about this.
And I
You
was
said you were
here.
doing a good job.
Yeah.
Well, about that. No.
So what do you want to spill with us today?
Yeah,
Spill the tea.
I mean, he's been making a ranked team during the games. You know, you never know what he's focusing on. No. But if you look at the interview and you listen to what he's saying and the grind that they've been putting in, it clearly shows.
Yeah.
I said it before that they might be a bit top-heavy here with Mowgli and Deadshot carrying them. Mowgli had a stinker of a game, if we're being realistic. These are not the numbers we ever expect from him. So that shows that they're putting in the effort. And as I said, these guys are a nightmare team to go up against. They are so talented and so fast and so aggressive. Basically, did exactly what I expected of them. Really good.
When you come into the first game of the season, because obviously that's what it was for Wolves, there's definitely, from our point of view, there's definitely questions that need to be answered. For me, Wolves, like Bibu said, you know, they lost every single game in EUL Stage 1 in the league play. And there's been a lot of kind of quiet hype inside of the community around Wolves building up over the past few months. Would they live up to that hype? Well, I think, yes, they have. They took MNM, who were a very good quality team, and they took them to their best map and beat them comfortably on it. And the second question I had in my mind, that Fabian's just said, are they still going to be top heavy? What happens if Mowgli doesn't show up? Well,
exactly this.
Shinka, 138 EPS, played very well, got some big important kills as well as plants as well, and the whole team. And I think they've, you know, put them two doubts in my mind to ease, basically, just with that one performance tonight.
On the other hand, MNM have maybe opened up a little bit more of question marks for me. Because the way that they struggled now, they started out really good and really well, but then they started slowing down. When they started slowing down, they struggled with time, and then Shinka gets the 1-on-3, and it's just over from there. It looks like they're completely destroyed. Because first of all, you're changing your tempo around, which, yeah, that can work sometimes. You need to figure out how to play your opponent. But then losing the 1-on-3 on top of that, and then struggling with time all of the remaining rounds, that shows to me that something is just not clicking for them. And I think that this is just personal thinking, right? When you struggle so much with these 1 versus X situations for the enemy, where you're the one in advantage, and you keep losing so many, eventually it doesn't become an annoyance. It becomes a really bad trigger for your mentals to really shut down because, oh no, it happened again.
Again and again.
And it just keeps happening for
And we've seen MNM when they've taken bad losses at events. We've seen them get onto each other and really, you know, start bickering. If that started happening in that game, you can see why rounds start kind of rolling up against them. So it's definitely something that they need to be working on. Because like I said, they're not a bad team at all. They're still probably one of the top teams in Europe. But it's games like this that we want to see MNM push on and win because we know they've got it in their quality. But like you say, you lose a 3 versus 1.
Yep.
And then the game gets away from you from there. Not ideal.
Especially against a team that is that aggressive as Wolves, right? They don't take the foot off the gas. They just keep rolling over you. And if you lay back and lay down, they're not going to go over you. They're going to go right on top of you and just push you down into the ground. They don't give a crap about you. They're going to crush you if they get the opportunity.
What you're saying as well, if MNM wants to be a top EU team, they need to win this game, specifically with the games that are still ahead of them, or for them, because they have a rest day after this, a bit of a way to cool down. And then they face BDS, which is currently the bottom team from that group. And then they face G2 on the final playday, which, if we look at how this group has been shaping up, there is a potential that that is a determining match for whether they do attend the deciders or whether they have to go to the LCQ playoffs or the open qualifier playoff. So there's a lot on the line for them with these last two matches.
I mean, that's one of the things, right, is if you look at the way the group's structured, let's say Heroic do finish in that 5th slot because they've lost 2 games now. One of the teams that has either gone to the major or won game as 8 in terms of BDS is going to be in the open qual playoffs. It's a very highly competitive group. It will change, you know. I wouldn't say G2 are home and hosed yet. All of that can still change, so it's still in MNM's hands. But this loss certainly, you know, puts them behind. They're starting from behind next week.
Not much to add.
Indeed, yes. But let's look at what